Welcome back, everybody. Today we'll be discussing the Jordan 4 Thunder once again. Specifically, we'll be discussing whether to sell or hold the Jordan 4 Thunder and why that is. To preface this, if you guys enjoy these types of videos regarding the market, reselling, and even info on how to acquire these limited products, be sure you subscribe and enable post notifications. This way you're always 100% updated. Furthermore, for more urgent updates like the recent shock drops we've seen, follow my Twitter, KeithAdam10, and also Personals for You. And of course, for early information before the drops actually occur, Endurance always has your back. You can join the waitlist with the link in the description below. For those who don't know, the Jordan 4 Thunder releases on May 13th, tomorrow. However, there already was a shock drop for them, as well as exclusive access, which consisted of about 160,000 men's pairs on the shock drop and 50,000 on exclusive access, amounting to over 200,000 pairs already in circulation from Nike alone. Retail is $210 for men's sizes, $150 for grade school, $85 for preschool, and $65 for toddler. Stock for all men's sizes is over 300,000 pairs, which is above average for Jordan 4. But again, keep in mind that a significant amount of these pairs are already in circulation. This will be important later. In order to determine if the Jordan 4 Thunder will be a fruitful hold, we will cover an estimated range of what the sneaker will settle at after the drop, and also when shipments come in, essentially the pairs all go into circulation, whether they're expected to increase post-drop or even hypothetically decrease, along with how much specifically over specific periods of time, and finally, what type of margin we're looking at for these in terms of holding, not the retail to resale initial margin, but rather the hold margin over X period of time. Basically, even if these do go up, are they going to be worth your time or not? Kicking it off, let's discuss the estimated range that these should be settling at. To begin with, stock for these is again above average for Jordan 4. Now, as for demand, it is also above average, and this makes sense considering this is an iconic colorway that we've not seen released since 2012. While yellow may not be the most universal, the basic color blocking of all black and just one color still allows them to be very wearable compared to more abstract colorways that we have seen recently. The current low presale may be concerning since they have not had their full release yet. However, this is because there are already tons of pairs in circulation, as we discussed earlier. And with this current presale, we're seeing extremely high sale volume. Now, it isn't quite at the scale as what we saw on the Jordan 1 Lost and Found, where 1 hour's worth of sales didn't even fit on the default StockX load, despite their much higher presale. But it is still quite high and respectable, considering 1 hour's worth of sales at around $260 to $270 takes up a majority of the default load. This is something we want to see. With that said, I am expecting these to hold up for profitability, but with a retail of $210, I'd only expect a poor to subpar margin depending on the size and if you have tax or not. As usual, larger sizes will perform the best, so I would advise focusing on sizes 10 and above, bigger being the better. So while this isn't the most profitable drop, it does appear to be a pretty solid opportunity to make some easy small profit, especially if you grab multiple pairs. Now, regarding a specific range, prices have already seen the vast majority of their pre-drop decrease since it is the night before and there's already tons in circulation. This leaves the current average at about $264 for sizes 8 to 12. We normally see a notable change post-US drop. This is when we normally experience what I like to refer to as the impulsivity effect. You guys should know what I'm referring to by now, as we discuss this very frequently, yet it almost always occurs to some degree. So, regarding this impulsivity effect, if you haven't watched my seller hold videos before, sneaker drops specifically impact human impulsiveness significantly after an individual fails to acquire that desired product due to insufficient supply and too much demand. Therefore, on average, we normally see about a 5 to 10% increase of the pre-drop prices post-drop. When it comes to these, I think it is very probable that we do see a positive impulsivity effect, considering they are most likely slightly oversold right now relative to a usual pre-sale situation, again considering the absolutely immense quantity already in circulation. That, coupled with the fact that now there will be a smaller amount going into circulation than usual, this should allow for at least a 5% positive impulsivity effect and potentially even more than that. Staying conservative, if we do see that 5% increase, this could potentially leave the average prices for sizes 8 to 12 at $277 post-drop. Now, let's discuss what prices will look like once the shipments go out within the 1 to 2 week range. During this period, the vast majority of pairs will all be going into circulation. Despite this being such a high stock pair, I would still expect only the usual 10% decrease as shipments go out for the reason I mentioned before, and that's a ton of these are already in circulation. If we do see that hypothetical 10% decrease from these post-drop prices, that could potentially leave the average price reaching a trough of about $250. Hence, I do suggest focusing on large sizes for this release. Now that the average price range at those points in time are evident, let's discuss whether they're expected to increase from the post-shipment prices or even hypothetically decrease. Broadly speaking, the majority of Jordan 4 colorways that have released within the prior couple of years have been increasing post-drop. A good comparison would be the Jordan 4 Red Thunder, which started off quite high, but has seen an increase in price nonetheless, and this is only over the last few months, considering they released rather recently. Now, I understand this isn't a perfect comparison because those had red, while these had yellow, and that's certainly noteworthy because yellow is a less universal colorway. In fact, if we look at the Jordan 4 Lightning, which is mostly yellow, the increase from their trough is noticeable, but not as significant as the Red Thunders, despite it being a longer period of time. I think the obvious argument here, though, is that Thunders are mostly black, while those Lightnings are mostly yellow, and that of course makes a huge difference. But nonetheless, even those Lightnings have increased from their trough. It just wasn't a very notable amount. With that stated, I would expect these Thunder 4s to start increasing after their post-shipment trough. But now finally, regarding the hold margin on these, even if they do end up increasing, are they going to be worth your time? Short term, I do think that it is possible we see a similar rate of increase like what we saw in the Red Thunders, but proportional. So I don't think I'd expect these to reach those prices within that same period of time, but a proportional increase, considering they are starting off with a lower initial value. Now, when it comes to long term, I also see really solid potential with these considering they are a rather iconic Jordan 4 colorway. Prior to the re-release being known, those 2012 pairs of these Jordan 4 Thunders were selling for $600 to $700 new. Now, of course, there were some macro factors at play since it was 2021 too, but even 2020, these were selling for the mid-400s, which is really solid. Hence, I would rate these above average at 6.5 out of 10. While they may not increase as much as what we saw in the Red Thunders in the same period of time, these are starting off with a lower value, and that really matters when considering your ROI. Personally, I will be holding my pairs as well as keeping a personal, of course. Also, just a note in general for anyone considering holding any items who does have low capital, you should never hold anything in general if you don't have sufficient capital to go for as many drops as possible at your full potential. Let me know what you guys are doing with your pairs down in the comments below. Since this is a discussion at the end of the day, I can't predict the future. That's just my personal analysis based on the data that I've acknowledged. We have a lot of brilliant minds watching right now, so I implore you to leave your notions below as well. Anyway, that'll conclude it for today. You can feel free to leave a like if you enjoyed or maybe if you learned a thing or two. Subscribe to stay 100% updated on all hype sneaker news. Also, feel free to check out the links in the description below for reliable, fast residential or ISP proxies from Kip Proxies, or you could also feel free to join eDeals with the free trial link below. Furthermore, feel free to follow Endurance's Twitter for updates on restocks or key giveaways, and the same goes for Gargantua if you want to keep up with progress or restocks. Last but not least, make sure to follow Keep the Atom 10 and Personals for You. This way you guys stay updated on our urgent info like I was going over today. With that though, I will see you guys later. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and of course, good luck.